Hi, I'm Rick Anthony, and welcome to the Someone You Should Know podcast, the podcast that focuses on musicians, authors, and interesting people. We like to say we're making a difference one artist at a time. So sit back, have a cold one, and get ready to meet someone you should know. I have a real interesting country artist on the podcast today. She comes from a musical family, and a chance meeting with a country legend got her on a path to becoming a country star. Will you please welcome the award-winning singer-songwriter from Birmingham, Alabama, Beth Holli. Beth, welcome aboard.
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine. Birmingham, Alabama, I got a funny story about that. Tracy Lawrence was on my show, singer Tracy Lawrence, and one of the songs that I always got a lot of requests for on the radio was Paint Me a Birmingham, okay? Uh-huh. And I joked with him, I said, Tracy, I'll never forget, there was a lady who called up who didn't seem to have all the cards in her deck. Some fours and nines were missing, and she actually requested, can you play Paint Me a Birmingham? And I said, you mean Paint Me a Birmingham? She goes, oh, is that what it is? I thought it was Paint Me a Birmingham. I tell Tracy this, and he's on the floor laughing. And he says, maybe I'll have to do a remix, you know.
Okay. It's amazing how you don't really hear all the words
absolutely,
from certain songs, and you come up with your own. Well,
that's just it. My wife absolutely hates because I will say the wrong lyrics because I worked for the All-Star Radio Network for 19 years, and one of the things that we did was we did a lot of parody songs and spoof parody type things, and it's just taking something and looking at it 15 degrees different to get that comedy effect of it. But and let's talk about your career. Enough about me. Let's talk about your career. Let's talk about your first exposure to music. It's actually through your father, who was a music producer. Can you tell us about Dad and those early days in your life?
Dad's name is Les Hollifield, and he was a wannabe singer, but he ended up being a producer because God love him, he couldn't carry a tune. Now, he did record one song, 45, and it was sold on eBay for $500 about 3 or 4 years ago because there wasn't that many made.
Okay.
But it just floored him as much as it did any of us. But my dad was a good songwriter, and he was a good producer. Mm-hmm. So he walked in one day because I used to sing the songs that he would be writing, and I would hear him sing them and all. And so he came in one day and he just put some headphones on my head, and he said, "Okay, I want you to sing what you hear." So I did, and this just kind of went on. The next thing I know, he had me on the Country Boy Eddie show, which was a local TV program where Tammy Wynette was discovered. Wendy Holcomb was discovered. There were several other people that was found from that show. Okay. And it just kind of progressed from there. And, you know, Dad, well, he still is a great music person. Awesome. But he's the one that put me in for the love of music. And he told me, he said, okay, you're going to go to high school. You're going to have to get a job like all your friends do or something. And I was like, I don't want to wear one of those little hats from Captain D's. I don't want to wear one of them McDonald doodads. No.
Name tags and such, yeah.
Yeah. So I told him, I said, I got his credit card. I put an ad in the paper. Oh, my. I ended up getting a band. Jeez. I went to school with a girl whose dad owned a local bar.
Oh, my goodness.
I called him up, and he started letting me play back there. So jeez. I'd go and guest star there and have a good time singing, you know, what they were called songs then. Yeah. Now they're called oldies. But, you know, and it just kind of escalated from there. And I said, hey, Dad, let's go to Opryland. They've got an audition. He said, well, all right, I'll take you. So it was over at the college in Birmingham. And I sang. And at that day and time, people just kind of took you for your word. You didn't have to have an ID. Okay. So I just put down I was 16. And then when they found out I was 14, I got fired. Jeez. I said, doesn't that show you determination, how much I wanted this?
Yeah, that's just it. And it was fake it till you make it. Isn't that the old adage as far as that goes?
I did too. Yeah, absolutely. And Miss Dottie, I remember seeing her, and she goes, well, are you going to be at the show tonight? And I said, no, ma'am, I got fired because I'm too young. And she looked at me and she goes, well, what do you want to do? And I said, well, I want to know what the road's like. And she said, well, I'll take your stuff right over there. So I got on the bus and took off.
Oh, you're kidding me. Oh, my goodness gracious. Now, here's the funny thing regarding what you're going to go into in just a few seconds here. When I first heard your music and before I did any of the research, I thought your voice was reminiscent of the late, great Dottie West. I kid you not. And when I found out that you got basically a lesson in Country Music 101 from Dottie, I said, this woman, I think, channels Dottie West because she just sounds like her. I love Dottie West to start with. Okay, just want to let you know there. And I heard your music and I'm going, oh, dear God, that sounds so good. Tell us about going on the road with Dottie.
She was the best road mom. She really was. My husband laughs at me because he'll say, well, didn't you learn to cook and clean and wash clothes? And I said, no. Matter of fact, I was doing homework because I'd go in to school one day, get back on the bus and go back out. And then I'd come back the next week and take my test and get my new homework and go back out. And with Dottie, it was, okay, I'm going to do laundry. You sit there and do your homework. You know, he goes, I cannot believe you had a celebrity doing your laundry.
Jeez.
I said, she was my Dottie. You know, she was great. She was an incredible woman. And I remember telling her, no matter what happens in my life, you will always be one of the biggest influences on how I dress on stage, how I do my interviews, how I treat my fans, I call them my lovies. I don't call them fans. I call them my lovies because everybody is just adorable, you know. And I will always take time. If I'm late going on stage because somebody wants to talk, well, you know what? I'll be there in a minute. Just they'll understand. Because when I get on stage, I'm going to tell you what all happened and why I'm late.
Exactly. And that's just about.
I can remember Kenny coming back and pulling her and going, "Come on, Dottie, we gotta go."
One of my favorite songs still is Kenny and Dottie doing "What Are We Doing in Love." That
is the one I am thinking about redoing with Matt Dane.
Song. What a great song. Wonderful song.
That's one
of the songs that was making that transition about the time that Urban Cowboy was big in the movie theaters, and there was a huge resurgence of country music making it on the pop charts in the late 70s, early 80s, and that was one of the songs that I'm going, oh dear God, because I'm playing pop music at the time, and I heard that, I'm going, oh dear God, I got to play that song. I got to give me that song. I'm going to play that song. Give me that 45. I'm going to play that song.
I loved it.
Absolutely. Let's talk about some of your music. We'll get back to Dottie in a few minutes here, but first song we're going to feature from yours is an XMA award-winning song called "When I Dream." Now, I understand that the premise of the song actually came after the following the loss of a loved one, without going in too deep and causing any emotional scars or anything like that. What's the backstory?
I was engaged to a physician in New York that I had met.
Right.
And he called me one day and he said, I just don't feel good. And I said, well, he goes, I know I'm coming down this weekend, but I just don't feel good. I said, well, okay. He says, I'll come down tomorrow. I'll fly down tomorrow. All right. Didn't hear from him all weekend. Couldn't get a hold of him. His wife and him were ex-wife and him were in practice together. And I called her and she said, I haven't heard from him either. So she went and she found him in his office at his desk with a pen in hand. He had just signed a love letter to me.
Oh my.
And it was so difficult for me to get over. And my kids were so close to him that, my friends actually told me, they said, you cannot stay in bed constantly. And I said, but I am closest to him when I'm dreaming. And then it just kind of flowed from there. And I even though the song was written in 2002, I couldn't record it till 2008.
I understand that. That's very difficult.
And the first time I did, I walked in, I sang it, and I knew I would never be able to catch my composure for a long time again. And so I did that one in one take.
Wow. And it wound up becoming an XMA award-winning song. How does it feel to have awards and accolades. It feels good, doesn't it? It gives you kind of validation, right?
Absolutely. Especially when you know that he's the one up there, kind of guiding my life. I mean, he sent me a wonderful, wonderful man that I've been with for 20 years, and they are very much alike.
It's strange. You and I have a very parallel there. I was married for almost 40 years to my high school sweetheart, and I lost her in 2018. And I am convinced that her last job on earth was to put my lovely wife that I have now in my path. Now, I've known this lovely lady since the 7th grade. She and I were in choir together, and I knew my girlfriend and I from 1976. I was 15 years old at my brother's wedding, and I danced with her the very first time, and I think we never stopped dancing until she died. And I have a feeling that she is the one that's actually making this show go, because this show actually started back in the late 90s when it was part of the All-Star Radio Network, and I just picked this up as something to do to keep me from asking for my job back when I got ready to retire. And the success of this show is just, I'm blown away by this, and I'm blown away by the fact that your fiance up there in heaven is directing your paths and such there, and that's wonderful. Between he and God and everyone else, you're winning awards, and we're going to feature that award-winning song "When I Dream" right now on the Someone You Should Know podcast, featuring today's podcast guest Beth Holli.
Friends don't understand me for sleeping life away, but when I sleep, you're in my dreams of yesterday, and dreams I haven't lost you. You're still mine and mine alone. So as long as I can dream of you, I'll never be alone. As long as I can dream, I haven't lost you. You're never farther than a dream from me. And I don't have to face the world of heartaches every day. As long as I can dream of you and sleep the hurt away. I've seen others face loss and almost go insane. So I had rather live in dreams than face a life of pain. I'm happy when I'm sleeping. Sleep's a refuge for my heart. And as long as I can dream of you, we'll never be apart. As long as I can dream, I haven't lost you. You're never farther than a dream from me. And I don't have to face the world of heartache every day. As long as I can dream of you and sleep the hurt away. As long as I can dream.
Great music right there from award-winning country artist Beth Holli right there. It's called When I Dream. And more great music from Beth coming up in just a couple of minutes. But before we do, I want to say thank you so much for tuning into the Someone You Should Know podcast, found on the web at someoneyoushouldknowpodcast.com. If you go there, you're going to find our recent news, our archive of past episodes, and a whole lot more. And if you're enjoying the podcast, we invite you to leave a review. Let us know how we're doing. Now, according to Buzzsprout, the service that shares us to all the podcasts, all the streaming platforms out there, we're so incredibly blessed. At this point, over 2,000 cities worldwide in 85 countries. We want to salute some of those. New ones include Fontana, California, Cocoa Beach, Florida, Brownsburg, Indiana, and Kobe, Japan. The Someone You Should Know podcast, heard wherever quality streaming audio is available. And we get back to the lovely Beth Holli, award-winning country artist. We were speaking about Dottie West, who greatly influenced your life. And how does Dottie West resonate still with you today, as far as how has she fashioned who you are today?
I can hear her picking out a song that I do. I can sometimes hear myself wanting to make sure that the nails are done, the makeup's done, the lipstick's perfect, the hair's curled. You know, you got to have your hair curled.
Exactly, yeah.
You can't have that straight stuff like we do nowadays.
If you remember back in the time, that was big hair days too, if you remember.
And you know what? In my day, it's still my day, and I still have the hair day.
Awesome.
And the higher the hair, the closer to God, and I'm always going with that. So my husband
still a great line. That is still a great line.
It's going to hit the ceiling. So
watch out for the ceiling fan.
Watch out for the ceiling. Yeah. But when I pick out costumes, when I pick out boots, when I pick out songs, I'm always thinking about her. I do nothing without, per se, her approval in what I'm doing.
Awesome. And
I know that's odd to say, but yes, I hear her approval in what I do.
Awesome. I'm sure she's looking down on you and saying, I'm very proud of you, girl. I'm tired of doing your laundry.
She's called me little girl.
You're doing your laundry now, okay?
Yeah. Did you learn how to do your laundry?
Yeah.
Yeah. She calls me little girl. She used to call me.
Jeez.
So
awesome. Very good. That is just. Well, how did your family feel about you being on a bus with Dottie West?
Let's get this straight. My kids are 32 almost and 26. In today's time, I still wouldn't let them go. Why in the world? Well, you have to understand too, our generation was the last feral kids generation.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
You know? So if you could figure something, well, just like my dad said, if you don't want to do that, then put a band together and do your thing. If you don't want to go get a regular job. Okay, well, I did. Because that's what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
So if I was determined enough to do that, and it was like being with, a mom and several dads out there anyway. And I knew I was safe and never had any question about whether I was, if mom and dad always knew where I was. So
there you go.
And it was interesting. I mean, they were proud. They were happy. My dad was ecstatic. My mother was like, she needs to be home taking home ec class. No, she really don't.
Oh, my goodness.
But what was funny was when I did go my senior year, and I had to go my senior year, never go on the road my senior year. It was all go school. I found out at 35, I had enough credits to graduate my junior year, and my mother she didn't tell me that. So I still had to go my senior year because she wanted me to have that experience.
Oh, there you go.
Of being a senior in high school. And so I joined the choral class, the girls' choir.
Yeah.
And when I auditioned for that, he told me, he goes, I just don't know that you can cut this. I just don't know that you can sing well enough for this.
Oh, geez.
And I said, well, you know what? That's okay. Dottie West does. He turned around and he goes, that's you? I heard one of y'all was. I go, yeah, it's me.
Well, let me stand corrected.
Solo, and I said, no, I just don't think you played the piano well enough. Yeah.
Okay, now at some point, though, you left doing the country music and you took up nursing. And I want to say thank you so much for doing that, because my wife, Leslie, just retired after 35 years in nursing. How did you transition from that into nursing? And then out of nursing back into becoming a country star. Now, I know you're still a nurse right now, but that's got to be, ebbs and flows there. Exactly how did you do that?
Well, when I was engaged to Matthew, he was a physician, and he knew I wanted to be a doctor. So he gave me the nickname Dr. Liz. Mm-hmm. And so I used that for a long time. I mean, even my car tag still says that.
Okay.
And then when I got, my mother got sick, and she had cancer, and I dropped out of school. And I just wanted to, this was 2004 or 5, something like that. It was after Matthew had passed. And she had gotten a lump in her lymph node. And I walked in and I just kind of felt it. And I said, Mom, you've got cancer. And she goes, no, I don't. I'll do it after the holidays. And I said, okay. Well, it got so bad that I had to take her to the hospital. I know. What is that? What is up with the holidays? I'll do it after the holidays. Well, she got so bad we had to take her to the hospital, and we did. I was right. And I looked at the CTs and all, and I was right. But we got her well. And she went into remission for 5 years. And then she got a different type and passed on in 2010. But I realized I didn't have what it took to go back to be a physician, because I had 2 small children I had to raise. So I did the first thing I could, which was to get into a nursing program.
Okay.
So I did that. And the first job I had was as a corrections nurse.
Oh, dear Lord.
So it was a local jail. And then I progressed to doing prisons. So, you just have to. And now I go all over the country to help opening prisons and get them transitioned.
Jeez,
and,
wow. Okay. All right.
Yeah. It's pretty interesting, though. But what's funny is, the halls are so acoustically sound. This is wonderful. And I go through the halls sometimes singing. And I was singing bail money for with one of the guards one day. And so then all the inmates started calling me bail money.
Well, how did you transition to being back into doing the country, getting back on the road? And
well, I did 7 COVID units. I did 7 COVID units.
Geez.
And I was like, man, I am exhausted. I worked 12-hour shifts, 25 days in a row.
Oh, my.
And when I finally got an off day, I came home because I was out of town. I came home and I told my husband, I said, I woke up, it was February 2019. I said, I'm going back into show business. And he said, hot damn. He got up. I went to work. He got up. Next thing I know, I come home. There is an entire studio set up in my house.
Wow. No, that's a supportive husband right there.
It is a very supportive husband. Yeah. Of course, he'd been wanting me to do this for a while. And I was like, no, I had surgery and I had problems with my breathing. I had to have, different issues like that. And I thought my career was over with, because that was one point in time I could not breathe. And it turned to find out that it was a medicine had sulfa based in it. I'm allergic to sulfa.
Oh, jeez. Oh.
It was something that simple, but I really thought my career was over.
Oh, yeah. That's something else.
So, but yeah, figured it out and got it gone. Started singing again. And what's funny is I needed a vocal coach to help me get my breathing back. So a man that I was working with, Sam McClung, said, I've got a couple of ladies I want you to get in touch with, and I want you to find out which one you jive with best. Okay. Vicky Carico. Why do I know that name? I know that name. So I called her first. We set up a session. I recognized her voice, but didn't know from where. Her face popped up on my FaceTime. And we knew exactly who each other were. She traveled with Dottie afterwards.
Dear God. Wow, that connection runs deep, doesn't it now?
Oh, yeah. So knowing Vicky for 40 years, she was, and know how well she sings. That woman is phenomenal. Phenomenal. And she sings with Brenda Lee now. She is incredible. So she is now my vocal coach. Matter of fact, we're getting ready to do 2 more songs in February. So we got a session later on today. to do.
Awesome. Very good. Very good.
Mm-hmm.
Now, a couple minutes ago, we were talking about, or you mentioned the song Bail Money. Now, we're going to feature that song next, and it's kind of cool because it features an old friend of mine. Like, give me the backstory on Bail Money, and I'll tell you who that person is.
I'm dying to know who that is. Okay, so I got this song from a guy named Stephen Beatty, who wrote it with his brother Carlos and Marty Dodson. And I had the original, and I thought, it's just not in my key. It's not, and I wanted to be a little more, jazzed up, a little more modern. So I called a friend of mine that I haven't seen in 20 years, and I said, "Hey, Red, what's going on?" Just to see if that was still his number. He answers the phone. I'm fine. I said, he goes, "How do I know you?" I said, "From the floor of Bama. Aren't you Red the Voodoo Tribe?" And he goes, "Not anymore, but yeah, I was." I said, "Relax. I'm not bringing you a 20-year-old. He goes, "Oh, thank God." So how do we know each other? I said, "Well, I used to sing with you when you were down there." And he goes, "Oh, okay. I know who you are now." So we started talking.
You did realize his heart stopped for a few minutes there, right?
But it was a little fun for me. I had to get something out of it.
You're a hoot, Beth. You're an absolute hoot.
So we started talking. He is a network musician now. So you hear him between TV programs, going to commercials, going back to TV programs. So he got a hold of the music and started doing his thing because I wanted the atomic blues sound to it.
Okay.
And so then he got Anton Fig.
David Letterman's band. Yep. Paul Schaefer.
Yeah, David Letterman from the Paul Schaefer band. Mm-hmm. And he got Stu Hamm, who's a world-renowned bassist. He got Lucas Woke to do the banjo, Jeff Kalimba to do the mixing and mastering. And so Lucas, Brendan, and Jeff were all in New Jersey. Anton was in South Africa. Stu was in Las Vegas. Vicky Carrico did a 6-part harmony on that record that'll blow you away. So she was in Nashville with Josh Schillings, who did the organ, piano, and Randy Kors, who's a Grammy-winning engineer on Slack Key Studios, was in Nashville, and I was in Birmingham, Alabama, and I came up to Nashville to do the vocals. But that was put together during COVID, so it was a worldwide effort to do this record.
Yeah, that's your version of We Are the World. Now, I'm going to share something with you.
Okay.
Now, this podcast show, what's originally called Someone You Should Know, it was back on the All-Star Radio Network in the late 90s. There was a bassist by the name of Stu Hamm that was on my original show in the late 90s. I told him how much... There was a song that we used to feature on one of the radio stations I was at called Lone Star. It was an instrumental song. And I kid him. I said, "I know all the lyrics to your song Lone Star." And he just thought that was just the funniest doggone thing. But I featured him. It had to be like 99, I think. So here we go. We're going full circle here and featuring one of my guests from 1999 on a podcast that I'm doing in 2024. Wow. Well, if you run into Stu, tell him Rick Anthony says hello. And
I will. But here's the thing. I've been questioned many times with, how is an unknown artist, an indie artist like you, managed to get all these important people on this record? And my answer and response was, I knew one good friend who was able to pull it all together, and God guided our hands.
There you go. Absolutely.
Everybody, they had enough faith in doing it.
And sprinkle a little Dottie dust in there, too. Yeah.
I did. Hey, Dottie had it all together. She said, "Okay, y'all get over here. Let's get this done."
All right, let's get this girl another award-winning song. Here's Bail Money right now on the Someone You Should Know podcast.
Wasn't supposed to be a crazy night. I was chilling with a glass of red wine. Wasn't really even missing him. Caught a cab to meet up with my friends. They were late, so I was waiting at the bar. Got the window and I saw his car. Some other blonde in the passenger seat. I saw red
Beth Holli on the Someone You Should Know podcast with her next award-winning song called Bail Money. Now, you're from Alabama. Recently, I featured another Alabamian. Is that proper pronunciation? Alabamian.
Yeah,
a talented country
singer. A little bit more southern drawl.
Alabamian. Okay.
Yeah.
A talented young girl by the name of Alice Nelson. Now, you met Alice through Caden, right?
Caden, yes.
Caden Gordon, a mutual friend of all of ours. Now, Caden, love to you, bud. We're sending you love and vibes across the planet. Tell us about your involvement with Alice and Caden.
Well, he has put us together to potential songwriting together. And she is a great, talented little girl, I'm telling you. But, I mean, everybody's a little girl. I mean, I'm 61 years old, so everybody's little to me. But Caden, I happened to have had another promoter that hooked me up with Caden for an interview, and he and I just hit it off, and I felt so comfortable with him that, I started talking to him more and more, and he started promoting more and more of my songs, and then he would start calling me and going, Beth, we got to get more songs. There's people asking for them. So that I found this is he'll be 19 in February.
I know.
He's been doing this since he was 14 years old. He has several syndicated programs. He has several radio stations of his own. He is focused. He is incredible about promotions. He knows how to get things done. He is, and he does, he will call me every once in a while and ask me for advice on something. But other than that, he knows what he's doing.
Yeah,
I really
love the kid. By the way, if you the Caden Gordon, he was featured on. Let me get the date of that episode. He was featured on the 11th of January. So if you want to go back and see that one, find a little bit more about Caden, find out all the thing. And if you happen to be an aspiring musician that wants a little bit of help, he's the one. Yes. He's the one to talk to. So go back to the 11th of January to see that episode of the Someone You Should Know podcast and learn a little bit more about Caden. This next feature is one of my all-time favorites, Beth. It is called Tales from the Road. These are those infamous road stories of getting to a gig, something that happens at a gig. You get to the gig and realize it's canceled, or you get there and realize that you've got 3 flat tires, and or you plug in and the whole power in the building goes out. What would you say would be your Tales from the Road? Now, this can also go back to when you were with Dottie West and such. What would you say would be your Tales from the Road?
I really don't know, because I got off stage and I went to bed. I was a grown up kid.
Uh-huh.
I will tell you this, though. They all went to a after party at some restaurant bar that we were all staying in. And I looked at them and I said, oh, okay. So we all went there, we ate, and they go, okay, now you got to go home. I said, what do you mean you got to go to your room? You have to be 21. You're just little. I said, but I don't drink. And they go, it doesn't matter. You can't go. And I felt like, okay, fine. I'm at Opryland again. But you go home and do your homework now.
Oh, jeez.
But it was, I don't really know of any, like I said, because I just pretty much did my job and stayed to myself. I mean, it was just about the performing to me. It wasn't so much about making money. It wasn't about anything other than being an observer and watching everything that happened, And one thing is the road is like Vegas. It stays right where it is.
Did you ever see the movie Almost Famous?
Mm-mm.
Okay, that's something you want to check out, because I think that's you, in that this was a young teenage reporter who wound up working for Rolling Stone magazine, and he's following this band on tour. And I'm hearing a lot of Beth Holli there, so you might want to look that up tonight, or maybe check that out on Netflix. It's called Almost Famous. Great Cameron Crowe movie. Let's talk about your plans for 2024. What you got going on for spring and summer that we should know about?
Well, we're working on an appearance on the Kelly Clarkson show.
Oh, awesome. Very good.
We're working on 2 new songs, possibly dropping 4 two more later on in the year.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully getting a tour someplace with either, the United States, certain regions, the UK, several radio stations around the world have said, why don't you come over here and tour? Well, okay, well, let's find out about that. Now, I got Amanda. Amanda's a keyboard player
Mm-hmm.
and an incredible songwriter. Matter of fact, she wrote one of the songs that I'm fixing to drop later on this year. She wrote it for Pink, but her management wouldn't let her have it. So she said, I heard you sing, and I thought, God, I got to get this to this woman. And she and I met and just hit it off.
Awesome.
But it's really an honor when you find somebody that you have met and they are, I've heard you sing, so I want my song to go to you.
Oh, nice.
When people seek you out we were at Monell's, which is a family style restaurant up in Nashville. And there was these 3 football coaches came in and they overheard us talking about singing. And so he goes, so you're a singer? And I said, yeah. And he said, well, what's one of your songs? I said, the one that's fixing to be promoted most is Bail Money. And he said, well, all right, let me hear it. Well, I guess I shocked him because he didn't expect me to start singing in that restaurant. And I had no problem doing it very, very loud.
All right. Very good.
And I mean, there were people from the other room came in looking in. So by the time I was done, everybody was happy, everybody was clapping, everybody loved it. So.
Awesome. Very good. Very good. So for those plans, no, especially the Kelly Clarkson thing, if that thing goes down, you please let us know because I want to make sure I put it in the news feed that everyone checks it out and it winds up being like the most watched show on the Kelly Clarkson show of all time. Okay. That. So with that, let's talk about your links to social media. What's the best way to reach out to you and follow out where you're going, what music's coming out and all the other good things?
Caden runs my social media because I am not that good at finagling all that.
All right.
But I can tell you, he is building a website for me, and it's going to be www.bethholli.com.
That's HOLLI. Yeah, HOLLI. Okay.
Yes. And on the rest of them, it's either at Real Beth Holli or Beth Holli Music.
Okay.
And that's Instagram, Facebook,
X, Twitter,
X,
and TikTok, yeah.
On TikTok, it's at Real Beth Holli.
I'll include it down in the show notes, so if anyone who's driving right now wants to follow along and they're afraid they're going to get in an accident on these icy roads, hey, listen, they'll be down in the show notes, okay?
What area are you in?
Chicago.
I love Chicago. That's where the XMAs were held.
Oh, seriously?
Awesome. I thought it was beautiful. I love that architectural tour on that bus, on that boat. Mm-hmm. It's beautiful.
Absolutely.
Beautiful.
Absolutely. Now, the final songwriter feature is another XMA award-winning song, Best Country Song category song called Don't Touch Me There. What is the backstory on Don't Touch Me There?
It was about, where the first one was about someone close to me that passed. And then this one is about when I kind of got close to my husband and I was like, please don't touch me there, meaning my heart.
Okay.
I was so... because I fall in love so easy with a good person. They say most women don't like, good guys finish last. Well, with me, a good guy don't even have to start a race. Mm-hmm. I'm, right there with him. And I got a good one. I got a man that's very supportive. And, I told him, I said, it's going to take you 5 years to really love me. And it may take me 5 minutes to really love you, but you're just going to have to deal with it. And so 20 years later,
there you go.
It's not.
It's
not been a problem.
Let's get a little love to hubby. What's his name?
His name is Kurt.
Kurt, we love you, pal.
CURT. Yep.
Awesome.
And he is a wonderful, wonderful man. I couldn't ask for better. He's good. He's just a good soul. He really is.
Awesome. Very good. As long as he takes good care of you and is supportive of what you do, that's the biggest thing because there's a lot of spouses that just don't get it. And my lovely wife, Leslie, is the one that said, hey, you need to do this podcast. And my my wife Gaynell of 40 years, she was there every step of the way, and all the pluses and all the minuses that I had in radio, and all the moves that we had to make in the military. Having a supportive spouse is definitely very, very important. And both.
Well, I will tell you this too. Kurt and I talked about we're both believers in the manifestation of what you want in life.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so he told me one day after I won my first awards, he said, "You do realize that you have manifested this and you have continued to manifest the success." And I said, "Yeah, right now I'm working on manifesting that $15 million." He said, "You're going to do it because you are that determined."
Absolutely.
I said, "Well, I'll let you know when it gets there."
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, we've been speaking with the lovely Beth Holli here on the podcast. Beth, I want to say thank you so much for taking time from your busy schedule to be with us today to promote your music.
Anytime.
And I'd say thank you so very much for being part of our ever-growing family of the Someone You Should Know podcast.
Well, thank you for including me. And it's been a pleasure talking to you. And I'm so thankful that you got a hold of me and we were able to talk.
Look at me, looking at you. I might say yes if you ask me to. Dance all night, hold you tight. I don't wanna be lonely tonight. Here I go, falling again. But there's something I want you to know. You can hold me in your arms all night, make me feel so alive. We won't think about tomorrow or think about goodbye. You can love me till the sun comes up, run your fingers through my hair. But my heart's been broken so many times. Touch me there. Listen to me, talking to you. I hope you understand what I've been through. Too many lies, too many goodbyes. I've given my heart away too many times. Here I go, falling again. But there's something I want you to know. You can hold me in your arms all night, make me feel so alive. We won't think about tomorrow or think about goodbye. You can love me till the sun comes up, run your fingers through my hair. But my heart's been broken so many times. Please don't touch me there.
Hi, this is Rick Anthony, thanking you again for listening to this episode of Someone You Should Know. Now, if you're an aspiring musician or an established musician that's looking for a little exposure, I invite you to drop us a line at someoneyoushouldknowpodcast@gmail.com. That's someoneyoushouldknowpodcast@gmail.com. Also, I invite you to tell a friend about the Someone You Should Know podcast. I thank you for tuning in this time, and I invite you to check us out next time on the Someone You Should Know podcast, because you never know who's going to show up. Until next time, remember, God loves you, and so do I.